Good morning. Welcome to part 4 of training with Josephine. Kiowa is going to be stepping in for me for this part of the training and maybe some other parts here. A few months ago, I broke my leg, pretty severe, and when it's cold outside, I just don't have any spring to my step anymore. So what she's doing right now is she's going to go back over the exercises that I taught her in part 1s, 2, and 3, starting off with the flexing exercise that she's doing now, just to make sure things are the way she wants them. Wouldn't want her just to jump into the next step without making sure she's comfortable with the horse and the horse is comfortable with her. So right now she's just flexing, asking her to stand still and flex around from the nose to the back, or nose to belly, just like we did in part 1. She's doing an offside flex now. Making sure that she's nice and soft in her head and neck, and will give when asked, and follow the feel of that lead rope. That was part 1 of exercise. I think she's going to do offside flex on this side. And on another note, off camera, I taught Josephine the pick-me-up technique, which you can find on my videos here on YouTube. Just scroll down to J and the pick-me-up. That's around a 30-minute video. It goes through all the steps of how you would teach your horse to do the pick-me-up. We taught her it because she's a pretty tall horse, and in step 4 here, we want to be able to get up on the horse. And I taught it because I wanted to have a way to get up there. I can't jump right now. My knee won't let it happen. So I can't jump like I want to. So I thought maybe the pick-me-up technique would work. And we've done it before in a few horses. The good thing about it is it helps teach the horse to be above them. For us to be above them and rubbing all over on both sides at the same time, because we're up on the mounting block, we're on the fence, and we can just lay over them and stuff like that. And that's what part 4 is going to be about. Is going to be getting on her and desensitizing her to our person being up on top of her back, and some weight and things like that. And once Kiowa gets at a spot where she can do that, we will show that. Right now she's going to the desensitizing that we did in step 2, second video training of Josephine here. She did the lead rope, tossing the lead rope, front, back, front legs, back legs, over the butt, over the neck, things like that. Now she's going to use the stick and string, and she'll probably toss it over the top of her back, around her legs, and then she'll do the slap in the ground, which makes a lot of noise, and it helps with fast motions and help get desensitized to that. What they're learning here too, I don't know if I explained it too good or you couldn't hear me, because one of the videos, the sound wasn't very good, but it helps the horse learn our body language, and that when we really want the horse to move, our body language changes, and when we don't want the horse to move, it just stays nice and relaxed, kind of in a neutral position. One thing to know, Kiowa has been working with me for several years now. Started off as an intern, then an apprentice. Now she's basically training half the horses we bring in. It's pretty nice. She started several colts, a lot of colts, and she's done a very good job at it. So it was easy just to have her step in here and take over for this part of it, at least. So far she's doing really good with the stick and string. Desensitizing kind of took hold. I was not sure that was going to work. We've had some bad weather, so she's been setting. We had a snowstorm, and then we had just real bad wind, and just miserable to be outside when it's windy and cold. So she's had a few days off. So now she's going to the plastic that we did. in step 2, or part 2. Rubbing her all over with the plastic. I don't know if you remember in part 2, she really wasn't having this plastic. Wasn't horrible, but she was definitely shy of it. And by the end of the session, we got her pretty good. Been really good desensitizing the air around her, the airspace, I call it. And if you want to see how this was done, that was definitely part 2 of training with Josephine here. Seems to be pretty good with that. And you see how Kai was just kind of relaxed. She's not being sneaky about anything. She's just going for it. But her body language suggests to the horse that you don't need to be moving around. We're just going to go ahead and do this around you. Nothing hurts. This ain't going to get you. And she moves on. I think right now she's probably going to go to our part 3 exercises, which was the yielding the hindquarters, backing, and moving forward around to the left and forward around to the right. So she's using the training stick as an extension of her arm. When she wants Josephine to move, she puts a little bit of pressure on that hindquarters. She projects that pressure. Look at Josephine at the licking and chewing there, really nice. She's getting it. She's going to ask her to yield again. Very nice. If I remember right, this was pretty easy for her to pick up. It is an easier exercise. Horses get this, that disengaging and yielding their hindquarters. It's something that's easy for them to understand. That's why I like, when I'm moving their horses' feet, I like to start with this exercise first, because we can figure each other out and she can start understanding the pressure. Very nice. Very good pivot there. That inside front foot, you see that left foot? Just pivot. And now it's going to be the right foot's going to pivot. Very nice. Oh, a little bit of a step, but not horrible. Oh, she's walking forward, so she stopped her. A little shaking of the lead rope. This was her more difficult way. Now she's going to ask her to back up, so she's not like shaking the lead rope and spooking her head. She's pushing on her chest. She's focusing on her chest, asking the whole horse to move back, not just the horse's head. So if she has to, she taps. Remember, we do suggest, ask, and tell. We suggest that the horse moves by changing our body language. We ask that the horse moves by tapping the air, maybe clucking or smooching or whatever your go-to noise is to get your horse to move. And then asking the horse to back up. And if you have to, touching the horse with a stick. So what she did there was she disengaged the horse's hindquarters to get her feet kind of from being stuck. And once Josephine got her feet unstuck, a little easier to move her feet backwards once they're already moving. Lots of rewards in between these exercises, especially the exercise where we're asking the horses to move their feet, because we're changing up from the desensitizing mode, which is a calm, relaxed body language, to we're putting pressure on the horse to move their feet. And we don't want them to just get confused and think that every time we're coming up to them, we want them to move their feet. We want the horses to understand that sometimes we want them to move, sometimes we don't want them to move. And then later in our training, we'll be moving their feet and doing desensitizing exercises at the same time, so that they can focus on what we're asking while silly stuff is going on around them that they don't need to really be concerned about. But sometimes horses lose focus, and that'll be exercises later in her training. So right now she's if you remember right, on part 3 when we were doing this exercise, she really had a tough time moving out and yielding the hindquarters. She wanted to go laterally and push and pull me around. Uh, by the end of the session, she really got soft and started moving forward. Right now, she's giving her a little bit of trouble with the going forward part, but it starts off with a little bit of lateral movement, and then it moves on to forward. So I'm pretty happy with that. She's yielding really nice, staying nice and relaxed. Or the idea of this exercise is not to get our horses tired. It's to get them paying attention to us, listening to what we're asking them to do, and doing it as calmly and as possible. So lots of rewards here. So I think we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step, which is going to be the reason why we're doing part 4 here, and that's going to be getting on Josephine. So the way I look at it is, if we get on her first, before we start putting tack and strapping things down on the horse, if we're already up there, they get used to us first. Then they can get used to the tack second, and then they can move on to both of us at the same time. The thing about getting on from without tack and just laying on the horse and rubbing around is I believe it's really safer for us. If they move and jump out, we just slide down. If we are in a saddle and that happens, it could turn into a rodeo, and now we've got to ride a horse that's bucking, and I'd rather avoid all that and get at least this part out of the way early on in the training. So when the tack is on, she can just get used to the tack, and then she can, well, she's supposed to be doing the pick me up right here. Let's see here. Come on, Joseph. There we go. She's a little far back. That's all right. She got a little confused. That's okay. She's coming. All right. So what she's going to do now is just kind of reinforce the pick me up technique. Right now, she has to use a stick. Then, she's reaching over her back and she's bringing the horse in. And once again, you just go back on my videos and look at the pick me up. There we go. That's beautiful. The pick me up technique, I did a full length training video with lots of angles, a lot more angles than we can do here with this camera setup we have now. But right now, Kiowa is above her and close. So the horse is coming up to us and saying, we're inviting the horse in, the horse is coming in. And this works on a couple different levels. With the pick me up, you don't have to jump up there, because she is pretty tall horse. So this helps out quite a bit. There we go. Nice little pick me up here. She's just going to rub when the horse is in there. She's going to rub, make her feel comfortable. When she feels confident that Josephine's going to come on in, she's going to try it without the stick. She's going to have it handy, but she's going to try it without the stick. That way she can use both hands to do the exercise of the laying on her back. And there we go. That was really nice. So at this point here, she's going to just do a lot of rubbing, both sides of her. With Josephine flexing now, if we tip the nose to the left towards us and we lay on the horse's back, if Josephine does anything fast or silly, or he gets a little nervous and jumps out of the situation, all Kiowa has to do is just not go with her. The one thing about when you're in a saddle, that option's not there, especially if you got a foot in the stirrup and it happens. So I had to get this stuff out of the way now. Now she's putting a little bit of weight on her back. She's laying there and rubbing and rubbing and rubbing. You can't do enough of this rubbing. He's touching her in their cinch area, back by her flank, up by her shoulders, over her butt, getting all this stuff out of the way that sometimes people forget about until they're in the saddle and they reach back and touch their horse's tail, and and it's on. So I like to get this stuff out of the way early. There we go. Now we got full weight. She's got her nose tipped to the left. She's not pulling hard. She's just holding that there. The only thing I don't like about having to use the pick-me-up for this is the mounting block is kind of in the way. Because if she does move her feet, I have no problem with that. So right now what she's doing is, I guess you'd call it planking. She's got her feet cocked over to one side of the hip while her head is on the other side. So if you see the horse's top line, her head is on the right side of the top line, and her legs, which is the heaviest part, are on the other side of the top line. So if the horse, if you could see what would happen here, if Josephine goes forward really fast or spins, her nose is pointing left, so that means her hindquarters will go to the right, which means Kiowa can just slide straight down in that pocket and just be out of the way. She could try to stay up there and balance herself, which is fine too, but if she continues to move forward or whatever, just slide off. Try it again. It's a desensitizing exercise. So it's not that big of a deal. She gets back down on the block, pets her all over, rewards her, brings her back. One of the reasons why horses tend to go with this type of starting best is because there's nothing grabbing on them. No, she's just laying there. The horse has just got the weight on her. She's not grabbing with her legs. She's just laying there, rubbing the horse all over. She's like a big human brush. If you see, she keeps crossing her leg there. One reason we do that is it just keeps us from wanting to slide one leg down one side and one leg down the other side. If our legs are locked like that, it's more a mindset for us that we're not straddling the horse. We're just laying up there. And this is safer for us and safer for the horse this way. Just in case. Josephine's a pretty mellow horse. We're not too worried about her doing anything silly. So lots of rubbing, lots of rubbing, lots of rubbing. So she didn't seem to have too much of a problem with her laying up there. I'll have her do it one more time while we're on the video here. And then we'll close out part 4, which basically is a refresher of parts 1, 2, and 3. We added the pick-me-up off camera, and that helps us with this part here. For the mount, there we go. It's nice and straight. There we go. That's really, really nice. She got her nose tipped. You see, what we might do here, I'm going to have Kiowa turn the mounting block around so we can see the left side, how she's holding the nose and head. There we go. Or just that right there. You see how safe that was? If we were holding on tight in a saddle, that could have turned into something. So we're going to try it this way here so we can see. So you guys can see this side of her when she's up there. It's not much different. You can just kind of see Kiowa's not pulling on her head, and just nice, and she's got the flex down, and the flex, she knows she's supposed to stand still and relax. There we go. And then she'll cross her legs straight out the back. Nice. A lot of rubbing. Look how calm Josephine is there. Kiowa stays calm, and everybody's happy. Drama free. Like it. Nothing better than that. And once again, you can see that pocket that Kiowa, if she moves her feet, Kiowa can just drop her legs down and be out of the way. If her legs were on the other side or that nose wasn't flexed, and Josephine spun to the right, then we'd have a problem. But that's why the flex is important on this exercise here. Keep that nose tipped towards you. That way, if she moves, her hind end goes away from you and you just drop down. Let's see how far she wants to go in this here. She's looking at her. So because that's not optimal, she just kind of put her weight back down on the mounting block and waited for Josephine to give again. This isn't a time to rush anything either. Any time to pick a fight. This is a time for some bonding to happen right here. And there's no better bonding than laying on a horse's back. So technically, she has had her first person on her back. And we are going to move on to part 5. Thank you for watching. Please share these videos and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to Keith Marshall Horsemanship here on YouTube. Thank you for watching part 4 of Training with Josephine.